Hi guys, okay, I know it's been quite a minute since I've put up a video. It's been a while. I've been slacking. Like, I've just been into the hustle and bustle of school, but it was time for me to drop another video because SGU finally announced that the spring 2021 semester will be fully 100% online for all terms in the med and vet school. I really look like an egghead today. I did like a slick back bun, which I normally don't do. And then as you can see, and it's just small. I like my puff, but whatever. But so yeah, if you're new here, if you're a prospective student, you're just now stumbling across my page. My name's Brittany. I'm a 4th term vet student, so I'm at the end of my 2nd year. I'll be starting my 3rd year in January, and I go to SGU. St. George's University is located in Grenada in the Caribbean. If you didn't know, you could also be a potential Ross student. You could just be watching this. Ross is another vet school. Both of them are AVMA accredited. They're both, US accredited. If you don't know what AVMA is, they're just both located in the Caribbean. SGU is located in Grenada. Ross is located in St. Kitts. But both of them were the only 2 vet schools in the States, the statewide schools that were 100% online this term. Most other schools in the States, even if they were online for lectures or, some exams, they still got to go in person to some extent, and do labs, do surgeries and things like that. Versus us on the island schools, we weren't able to go back to the island because of the pandemic. And it really sucks. It's one of those things that kind of reflects how America, in my opinion, is, handling all of this. Had it been handled better in the first place, maybe we'd be back, but we're not. So it's not what I'm here to complain about. And I am here to answer some questions. I put up a poll on my Instagram page. Be sure to follow that because I always post updates on there. But I put up a question poll to just see if students, had any questions just about how life online is going, how SGU and Ross are handling things. And as the title of this video said, I was doing a collab with my friend Ashley, who's a student at Ross. But I wanted to address some SGU things since I know most of people who stumble across my page or who watch my videos are interested in SGU. So I have my phone here and I'm just going to read off some questions, kind of just give my own little personal spiel, how has it been learning vet school online? I personally don't like it. I don't think it's optimal, and I think we are losing out on a lot of hands-on experience. All of the staff and faculty keep telling us oh, you'll have the time to make it up. When you come back on the island, we'll make that up. And when we went home in March, we had March to May, and then they were hoping we'd be back in August. Okay, we might have to have a few labs on the weekends, or, now in the next term they make up. But then now we were online for a full term. So now it's okay, now you're catching up a term and a half, but now we're going online into our 2nd full semester. How are you going to catch up 2.5 semesters online? There comes to a point where I don't feel like you can make it up even with Saturday labs. This is a main question, and it's, do you know why SGU is not following the same protocols as Ross? I don't know anyone higher up in administration, but I am a member of student government. I have sat on a dean's meeting, and I do just understand a little bit outside of just SGU because I do respect Grenada so much as a country, and I look into a lot of the things. For one, you have to consider that Ross has a med school, but their med school is not on the same island as their vet school. Their med school is located in Barbados. So when you consider that Ross is bringing its students back to St. Kitts, they're talking about only the vet school cohort. That's 700 to 800 students, if that. Versus SGU has the vet and med school and the School of Arts and Sciences all on one campus. And when you think about it, even if SGU were to say, oh, let's only bring back term 5 and 6 vet students because those are the hands-on students. That's about 200 students, give or take. But then what about the term 5 med students who are also doing their hospital mini rotations before they go on to their clinical year? Well, that's 1,000 students. Their terms, the terms in the med school are close to 1,000 students. And so how can you say that one cohort of students gets hands-on experience but the other doesn't? Personally, I don't fully even agree with that statement because I feel that the vet school and the med school, everything is always treated differently. And so why is it that when it comes to something like this, the vet school has to suffer at the hands of the med school? Does it come down to money? Likely. I don't know, but that's the whole reason why it's bringing in a huge population. I do think that, maybe they could have staggered the entry, kind of how Ross is doing, because they can't bring in the entire student population and they weren't going to have, only vet, not med, or vice versa. In addition, the school also addressed that they can't have a hybrid curriculum, so they can't have half of the vet school online and half in person. It's either everyone in a particular term will be required to come back, whether it's fully online or partially in person like for labs, or everyone will be online. In September, they announced that everyone would have the option to remain online even if campus opened. So that in itself, you knew that even if campus opened, everything was mostly going to be online. So that's the main thing. It really does suck, but what can you do? I also don't blame Grenada for not allowing Americans back in. As mentioned before, Americans, we just don't do right. Like, no one, you go out and I see people on Snapchat and Instagram, and people are at bars and, out at clubs, and, you just see people out and not wearing masks because most states are like lifting these mandates. And the cases are still rising. It's worse than it was even in March when we came home, but people just act like, one, it's a political thing, or two, that just because it's not in the news and the media anymore, it's just gone. It's still there and people are dying from it. So I don't blame the islands for being hesitant on bringing in all of these selfish, American students who are just going to come around and run rampant and possibly spread disease to an island whose healthcare system can't really afford that. So, I'm 100% on board for what the island has chosen. I don't think that the school has given us all of the resources that they can. I also got asked, do you think incoming first years will be able to meet peers and interact online? Of course, I feel like personally the hot spots for SGU are New York and Florida. Like, there's always so many people from those places, especially New York, New Jersey, like the New England area. And if you want to meet up with people in real life, by all means you can. They even have like a study buddy sign up sheet through SGU. Like, once you're accepted, and you can like put in your information, and they'll kind of like partner you, or like, tell people that you're also in the area, and like you can put like, like within 20 miles or something. But most people have set up Zoom sessions, and every class has their own Facebook page, and so you'll post in that. So like, new students can still build connections with other students. Not only that, there are still clubs, there's still the general page. You can always reach out to other people. Like, most people are willing to help out. And then from there, you can have Zoom sessions. Like, is it optimal? No. Is it in person? No. We still have our DES groups, which is something SGU does, where a student in a higher term has done well in a course, and now they teach like supplemental like learning tutorials for the lower terms. You still have that, so you make connections. And I actually have a friend who has his own YouTube channel that I will list down below too. John, he is a term 1 student at SGU, and so he's had to go through the hustle and bustle of like this online learning for his first semester. So I will introduce him to you guys now and let him tell a little spiel of like how he personally feels like things such as anatomy have been online.
Well, learning online, it has its pros and cons. Like, the pros is that you can go at your own pace. You can, take your time. You don't have to end up going to classes and then, split your time like that. You can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want. It's one of the pros. But then there are cons when it comes to specific classes, such as anatomy, where it's more hands-on, specifically for the lab portion, where you have to kind of move around pieces, maybe dissect a cadaver and all that, where you don't get to do that when you're at home because nobody's going to ship you out a cadaver to be dissecting at home. But like I said, it has its pros and its cons, and like, I feel like I've prepared myself in like certain classes. Like, certain classes, I feel like I'm well prepared. Other classes, I feel like I needed, to spend my winter break studying and going over the material that I went over the first semester, so I can build that foundation. I can be prepared for second term and not feel like I'm falling behind compared to like other students in the upper terms, or students that are in the same term as me in other schools in the US, since they're allowed to go in person for their lab portions. As for like meeting up in person, because of COVID, a lot of people aren't, up to meet up in person. They want to stay safe. They want to, seclude themselves. But that doesn't mean we don't get to talk to each other. We have like a bunch of like chats. We have like DM chats. We have Snapchat groups. We have like the what do you call it? The group me, like group
Yeah,
chats, or no, what's it called?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. We have
Yeah.
WhatsApp. We just got a bunch of chats. We do like Zoom calls. We do FaceTime. Like, talk to each other, try to connect with each other. As for studying, again, everybody has like different types of studying. I myself like got myself one single study buddy, and like, we're mostly like silent study buddies, where we're just like FaceTime each other and just like make sure we're studying and make sure we're on top of our things. Because I for myself, I can't really study with other people at the same time, like trying to go over stuff. I just have to study by myself. But there is, we use the internet, we use, the resources at hand, try to connect with everybody. But like I said, it'd be 100% better if we were on the island, enjoying our first term together, first year together, trying to build that bond in person. But we're doing as best as we can.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah,
Also, guys, be sure to follow John's Instagram, follow his YouTube page because he's like just like me. He's out there like all on social media for like any vet students, any aspiring vets. And so I'll list your stuff below this video too, like in this
gotcha.
segment. So thanks
Thank you
again.
for
We're
having me.
studying for finals, so I will let you go, John.
All right.
Okay, so hi, I'm back again. So now this is my friend Brie. She's currently in the vet school too, but she's also a member of SGA, student government, and she's actually the vice president of student life. So I'm gonna let her give a little spiel about how she thinks like being completely online at SGU was inside and outside of the classroom, and like how making connections were like just being interactive with student life was.
So, like she said, I'm VP of Student Life, which means I really focus on mental health and trying to keep people connected while this is going on. Normally on island, the the job would be, I think, a little easier because I organize orientation. So I welcome all the new students onto the island. And then we do things like snack attack or puppy therapy to try to get people to kind of de-stress. Online, it's been a lot tougher because everyone feels so isolated during this pandemic and being online school. It's much different. But what we've done is we made a Halloween party on Zoom. So we had just a movie night. We did bingo. We played some games. We had a costume contest. It was a way to bring people together, even just for 2 hours. We're trying to do a Christmas party as well, or a holiday party, just to try to get people to see each other's faces, feel less lonely, and interact with each other with people that we don't normally interact with. With it being school wide, I get to meet people of school of medicine. I get to meet people in undergraduate studies and all terms of SVM as well. So it's a lot of fun. I think another thing that worked was for my term specifically, I open up a study session on our Zooms with the pro account. It's $15 a month. I kind of recommend it because 100 of us can be on there at one time. We have our cameras on, we can see each other, but we're doing silent study time, similar to what we'd be doing in Taylor Hall, Monica Hall, just our open study areas. It just gives us a time to feel connected to each other, even though we're thousands of miles away. So those are some really good points that we've brought and tried to help stay connected. I will say one of the bad sides is that I can't go to Starbucks and meet up with friends and do a study session. You have to get creative. Um, I do have two study sessions today with two different groups. So I mean, people are going to be as creative as they can be during this time. And like I said, that Zoom account, not advertising, but it's so nice to log on and not say, "Oh, guys, 50 minutes. Hold on, we're gonna have to start a new Zoom session." This way, we go on for 3 hours. There's no hiccups. So
I
that's
didn't even
something
think
nice
about
for
that.
me. Yeah, it's worth the investment. I also do Zumba, so that's really why I got it. So I didn't have to have that 10 person.
Do you still get a lot of people who come to it?
I get a good 5 to 10 people at least every time.
Mm-hmm.
I do find during midterms and finals, it kind of drops off. But once we're more relaxed, there will be more people.
That's good.
Yes. And I think that's one of the things that SGU did really smartly about. Their gym is open to people on campus, but then they also reached out to instructors and asked them, could you do a live class? Could you do a pre-recorded class? They're still
Oh, that's
trying to
good.
offer people ways to stay mentally healthy by being physically healthy.
That's good.
So yes, I
Yeah.
was very appreciative of that.
Um, Pros and cons of online versus offline school. I personally don't think there's any pros online. You're close to family. I guess I don't really like it at all. I don't see anything good out of this. There's a reason, in my opinion, that vet school, medical school, law school, dental school, any practical school that you need to be in person, nursing school, there's a reason that those things aren't online. There's a reason that, you can get an entire bachelor's or master's or PhD online, but you can't get things that you need so much practical skill. It just can't be given. So I just won't even dwell into that. Is it more difficult learning online than in person? I don't think it's more difficult. It's the same content, but it's really hard to stay focused and get into that school environment. You roll out of bed, sit at a desk, get back into bed at night. And it's just like day in and day out, just that screen fatigue. There are people that have always sat online and done all of their schooling online because all of our lectures are recorded, and for us, attendance isn't mandatory. But like there's a time where like you do get to come to campus, you do get to go in online, and you can go do other stuff. You can eat with other people, you can meet up, you can do study groups. And I think you just miss that. So I don't think it's more so harder, unless of course you do flourish. I'm not a person that likes group work, but if you are a person that flourishes off of that, it can be hard, I guess. Have you adjusted to the new teaching style? I have adjusted. I don't like it, but I've adjusted. I have a schedule. I wake up, I try to have all my lectures done by 12 o'clock noon, then I'll eat lunch, and then, I study the rest of the day, whether it's a hard study day, whether it's a light day, whatever. Do you feel like you're learning as much as you would have if you were on in person? I don't. I do as far as lectures. Lecture is lecture, but it's the practical experience again. Speaking of which, I have a friend Kayla. She's in term 6 at SGU. So when we were evacuated off the island, she was in the middle of her term 5. Term 5 and term 6 are the heaviest, like in-person terms. You do emergency ambulatory services around the island. You do your first surgeries, and you do reproduction where you stick your hand up a cow's butt or up a horse, and all the fun things that every vet student looks forward to doing. So I'm gonna let her have a talk on how she thinks like this hands-on experience and how the learning has been affected, like especially for like those practical skills.
So literally we got the email about COVID on a Thursday or Wednesday, I believe. And that following Tuesday was supposed to be my SPAs, start our SPAs, which are right after midterms. So we were devastated because we got to complete our neuters. But, we thought that, okay, well, we're going to go back in August. They had plans in action that we would make up our surgeries in August. But obviously that didn't happen. And it was devastating. It's been very much a challenge. Every student has different issues. I live in New York, so my experience might be very much different than somebody that lives in like Utah. But it's been hard. The school tries their best to pair us with externships, but some of us don't have the same access. For me, I had to travel 2 hours and stay upstate New York for large animal experience. And I have not completed a spay unsupervised where I'm able to cut and go through the entire process. And I think that surgery, the JSAL, junior surgery and anesthesia lab, is a huge, huge part of vet school. That's something that we all look forward to on the island for terms 5 and 6, and especially ambulatory, where we go around the island and we see large animals, the pigs, goats, whatever. So it was definitely very hard. I haven't seen any pigs in New York at all. And I haven't even seen a cow. So it's been a challenge.
Is there like anything like good you found, or like not really? Like what about like just learning online, like the lectures, or like anything like you had to do at home?
To be honest,
Be honest.
I don't really know if I have any pros of online learning other than being home with your family during this time, I guess. COVID has been devastating to more people than not. And I think that I appreciate, like, I was very happy, like in March, I was like, oh, I'm going home. I could be with my family. I'd rather be there with my family. And, there's all these hospitals and access around. But you got to be careful what you wish for, because there's more distractions at home. It's very hard to stay focused. Your friends are here. And I'm somebody that did not go to class after my second term. I felt like I learned better being in my apartment, using Panopto, and being able to pause, write everything that a professor said down instead of being live in person teaching. And I'm not really a morning person, so it just worked better for me. But being completely virtual, I don't really retain as much. It's very hard for me to stay focused. And the things that I really looked forward to, my labs, seeing our professors, working on animals, hands-on, I'm not getting that. So I would say it's really been a bummer for sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, my main concern, kind of like how Kayla spoke, is like I just don't feel that the school is giving us all the resources we can have. Tuition is still 100% the same it was, and what I don't understand is like part of your tuition, pays for SU's busing that's free to us. It pays for your gym fee, it pays for your printing fees, and it pays for other things that have to do with if you're there on campus. And I don't understand like why that couldn't have been adjusted. And this is all just personal opinion. It's not me bashing my school, because if I could, do it 10,000 times over again, I would still choose SGU all the way. Like, I love the school. I love the island. Like, Grenada is my second home, but I don't think that the school administration is doing all they can. And what some people fail to realize is that the administration and the dean that's on the island is not the people who own the school. The people who own the school sit up in New York. Those are the big guys. And the people on the island, even the dean, who's the highest in Grenada, still don't have a say so until the people in New York who own the school do. And so I just think that maybe tuition could have been adjusted, or for surgery, instead of us, making our own models next term, perhaps they could have mailed something to us. And so that's where I feel like the gap just needs to be bridged. I don't think that, we're getting everything that we could. And I also feel that, for these hands-on, there has to be another way, because who's to say that next August they're going to let us back? And so at what point do you, one, stop letting students in? Because I feel like now these people coming in could possibly be suffering. If you're not a strong learner, if you need that extra help, how can you get it? Some people might come in and fly by. Also, similarly, some of our tests are proctored and some are not. So there's some people busting out 4.0 GPAs and like, oh yeah, the grades look good, but how much are they actually retaining if everything is like non-proctored and they can just use their notes? Yes, you do say you're using an academic honesty code, that you're not using any outside help, but like realistically, like how many people like honestly think that students are not using their notes on an exam that doesn't have a camera attached to it? And so I just feel like what's going to happen when you get to your island, what's going to happen once you get to your NAVLE, and what's going to happen once you get to your clinical school year and you've never even opened an animal, you've never stepped into a surgical suite, you've never placed a catheter. Like, the island schools already have a stigma, and I feel like this is just like kicking us while we're down, because it's just like hurting us in a way that we have no opportunity. And everyone keeps saying we're gonna make it up, it's okay, it's this, it's that, but it's of course the school, I feel like, trying to paint a better picture, but you never really know until you speak to students who are in it. Some students think it's okay. Some upper termer students have had good experiences, but when you talk to the wholes, I feel like more people are suffering than not. But that's my little spiel on SGU. Now I'm going to invite my friend Ashley into this. She has a YouTube channel all about Ross. She has an Instagram, she has a TikTok, so be sure to follow her. But without further ado, let's get on Zoom with Ashley. So now I'm here with Ashley. You might have seen one of my older videos where we did a collab where we were talking about the difference between Ross and SGU. So she has her own YouTube channel if you're interested in Ross or you just want to see like some differences of St. Kitts versus Grenada. So we're just going to talk about how the two schools have like handled being online. How do they handle labs online like anatomy?
So for us, when I first came home in March, I was still in anatomy too. And so I had a practical like the second week, and we were like, oh my God, what's going to happen? We barely even looked at anything. And it was weird. Like, we still had lecture, we still did the normal lecture, but we didn't go to lab because we were online. And it was just like, watch the videos, look at the lab picture guides. And then like the exam was like an exact copy and paste of those pictures. So like I got an A, but can I tell you anything about the bovine uterus? Probably not. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what I looked at, to be honest. Like, I just made photo associations and clicked it, and that was kind of the end. So that does not the best.
Yeah, for SGU, what I know, because like I host a tutorial for like the term one students, they get videos pre-recorded like of the professor like dissecting it, and then I think for lab exams he'll either use like VIN or like the Colorado State virtual anatomy lab and like show it, or he'll get like random pictures that I guess he took in lab. But a lot of times it sucks because they're like super zoomed in, and I know that's one thing like students complain about is just like how hard it is to orient themselves And like, I feel bad because like when I was in anatomy, like you can pick it up, like even on our test, you could touch it as long as you didn't move the little pin, like you could touch it and like orient it. Like,
it's nice.
yeah, so we could touch it. So like, I feel bad. I know like no one else asked, but like for higher labs, like my labs right now, like the professors are just giving like a very, very, like very scripted. It's like I have to give them credit. Those lab videos are like really kind of cute and like they're nice because they go like very, very in depth. And then like a lot of our lab like assignments are they'll give you a while to like look through the labs and see what's normal, like placing a catheter or like how to gown yourself. And then they'll make another video of doing a bunch of stuff wrong and you have to point out like everything they did wrong. I mean, is it the same as putting a catheter in or gowning yourself? No, because when I actually go to do it, like, it's going to be hard. I didn't have someone there to tell me, like, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong. But I do see them trying. I know we did get necropsy and path lab cut out this term, so I don't know where that's going to get back. In upper terms, they're, like, teaching them how to do, like, models and stuff. But I think a lot of it is just being recorded. And you just watch it. And it has, like, a corresponding assignment, so...
For my clinical skills labs, they're all online and I have my camera on and we go and they sent us a model in the mail and we practice our suturing and they look at us and they make sure everything is good. Like it'll be like, I'll mimic it for you. So like I'll have my model here and I'll like put the camera down like this and then I'll do my thing and then like go like that. And
so did they make that model for you?
They sent me this in the mail and it like came with this little foam. These are the intestines.
That's cool. See, SGU didn't, which is, I mean, that's another question.
Really?
Yeah, we don't get anything, and that's been like a huge complaint is why can't they supply us a model?
That does stink because I know like from like square one, all students always at Ross, whether like COVID or not, they provide they call them Rossi models. And they send them and they had to send them from the island to us home, which was like a little bit of a pain because like some people didn't get them for a while because I mean it's coming from another country, so whatever, what can you do about that? But I was glad that I got to get it and like it's cool, like it's like a sweatshirt sleeve and then like a PVC pipe. And so like you can make it mimic different types of body cavities and
that's
you
cool.
Can, like,
no, we don't get that. What?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah, like this is my uterus right here. I just did a spay the other day.
Wow. No,
I mean,
we don't get
my
that.
ties aren't the best, but
yeah, but it's still just a principle. That's like a whole thing is right now is that SGU, the people who are in surgery, they're like telling you how to make your own model in different ways and like all the different, layers you have to have. So that's something I'll have to do next semester. So
I can honestly see if I can. I mean, for you, I can try and do a Rossi model and mail it.
If you can, like even if it's an upper term student,
once they like leave,
yeah,
like, they don't do it anymore.
Oh yes, please.
I could take you up.
Yes. Okay, that's like actually like another question of like what new methods have SGU and Ross put in place?
Yeah, so this has always been a thing, but I'm grateful that they mailed it to us, the Rossi model. Beyond that though, like the people who like do our clinical skills lab, before I got my model, like I was like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? Like I have lab and they weren't gonna reschedule my lab. And so they're pretty innovative. Like I was in lab and I had shoelaces and I was supposed to like just be practicing my knots, just knot tying, getting in the hang of like how things are supposed to go, how a surgeon's knot's supposed to look. And I'm doing it like on my drawer handle. And she sees in the camera and she's like, oh, go get that pot on the top of your kitchen counter. And I was like, oh, what? And she was like, tie your shoelace between the two handles of your pot, make that mimic your body cavity and go from there. And I was like, you're amazing.
Yeah, like, that's cool.
So like they're trying to make things work and it's cool. It's been cool. Like one of my friends emailed and they're like, oh, like I don't understand this. And they like emailed them back a video of how to do it. So like the clinical team, they're doing an awesome job. But like I can't say like beyond the clinical team that I've seen any like major differences in people like and
that's kind of the same. Like there's some classes that you can just tell like, okay, like path is going to be path. I'm pretty sure. And like Bacti is going to be Bacti. Like those very basic classes, there's some things you can't, it's just a lecture. But like you said, like how we're starting to get into our medicine courses, like our professors are starting to say, like, pause this video and write it out. Don't keep going, because I'm just going to tell you the answer in 2 seconds. So like pause it. And you can tell like the lectures are geared to you not being in person. And then all of our professors have like weekly office hours where we can come on and like talk and discuss. Sometimes they'll like bring in extra cases and stuff. And the same like with some of the labs, not so much my labs, because like I said, ours are recorded, but I think in some of the higher terms, like your one-on-one, like when you're doing your spay, there's that professor on there with you, and they're like, you're talking along the way is like what I've been told and stuff. So like you can definitely tell that. Also with term 6, which is the last term that you're on the island, you're usually doing like rotations. So another thing SGU has done is like they've reached out to alumni, they've tried to place you at places. I've heard good and I've also heard very bad about that, but they are still trying to stimulate you getting that like mini rotation before you go to your actual clinical school. And so yeah,
That would be so nice to get placed. Like they reach out to alumni, and that would be really nice.
Another person asked, how have SGU and Ross adjusted differently? Especially like, I think this semester was a little different because they did, like you said, let those 2 terms come back. But like next semester, SGU announced everyone is 100% still online. We're going to be exactly how we were this semester. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some tweaked things because this was the first like pilot full semester. But I know like y'all are good to go back a little bit. So you can expand on that.
That stinks to me for you that you can't go back, because it's Grenada, right? Like,
yes.
Grenada is significantly bigger than St. Kitts. Like I've driven all of St. Kitts in like an hour and a half, like the whole thing.
That's like one way up, like halfway up takes like an hour and a half, and then you still have to come back down. So
yeah, no, like St. Kitts is easy drive. I mean, I've heard taxi drivers say they've done it less. I believe them, but it's kind of crazy to me that like they're able to bring that many people back, and like SGU just kind of like no. But so they brought back 6 semesters. So in the coming term, they will be 7th. They'll be the new 7th. My friend who's in 5th is going to be in 6th. She'll be going back in January. So we have new 6th, new 7th, and then new 2nd and 3rd are also going to be going back. So like it's staggered throughout. So like the new 6th will come first. They're going to quarantine at the dorms for 2 weeks. Ross is getting a charter. You have to do, I think, like 2 or 3 COVID tests. And your COVID test that you do, your first one before you come, the whatever it's called, the results can be no older than 3 days. But then you have to like have all your groceries sent to your house too, and like everything. You are not leaving. You are not doing anything. You are stuck. But yeah, they're staggering people in. It's going to be January, then end of January, and then mid-February that people will come. And then first semester in vet prep, they're 100% online. But I mean, that's fine because they've like moved the lab courses around to make it like work with the new thing. And then last semester's online. I don't know why. But they said that they're going to let us know by January, but like, that's when school starts.
Yeah.
So I feel like they need to rip off the Band-Aid already.
And then like for us, everything's online, but like Grenada's open to tourism. So you can still go as a tourist. So say you just have to still as a student, because since SGU doesn't require us to have a visa, if you're there as a student, you have to follow any regulation SGU puts in place in rule with the government. And so like right at first Grenada had the 14-day quarantine. I think now they're down to a 7-day quarantine, but on the 4th day, as long as your original test going down there was negative, on the 4th day you can take another PCR test, and as long as it's negative you can get out of quarantine, but like it has to come back. So it's like either the result comes back before 7 days or the 7 days is up. So and SGU's quarantine is $50 a night, but it's not pet friendly. So like if I go back, I can't stay at SGU because I can't bring Toulouse.
That's how
but like, because at first they were letting pets stay, but they quickly like said no. And so there are like certain hotels, like you said, and most of them are still $50 a night, but I think a lot of them you have to pay like a pet fee. So that's annoying. Yeah. And then again too, like I don't even think if you were quarantining at SGU, you get yard time. I mean, you might, but it's not something that's being advertised or anything. But like the same thing, whether you're in a dorm or you're at a hotel, like you have to get all your food delivered to you. You can't leave or anything like that. And then the last one is like, what concerns do you have about the impact of online learning? Like how it will impact your practical abilities?
Ooh. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's like a common concern that people bring up when we have like our little town hall meetings with the administration. I think at least once every town hall, people are like, I don't think that I'm going to be suited to do what I need to do when I graduate or when I go to
Exactly.
clinics. And I think, yeah, like maybe I'm killing it right now. I'm on my model. Maybe things are
Yeah.
going great right now, but I still have no idea if I'm doing it right. Like they
Exactly.
show them it on the camera, but they're not right next to me. You know, they can't pull on it and make sure that it's tight.
Mhm.
It only goes so far. So yeah, there's definitely a fear that things are
And
not gonna
and
go as
I feel like the typical vet student, even under normal circumstances, already says like most vet students don't just come out of vet school and say, "Oh, I'm just ready to like take on the world and like own my own clinic and be by myself." Most people graduate already still wanting a mentor and wanting to work under somebody. But like now I feel like Ross and SGU students are going to enter like clinicals and like into the world and like be even more unsure. And there's already like the stigma of like going to an island school is inferior. So then you're going to go to your clinical school and like say you've never placed a catheter or like say you've never done a neuter on a live dog, like there's
yeah.
just some things like I just hope like at some point like it connects and there's something, even if I have to like search for that outside of school and do like an intern or externship, but it just sucks that you have to do that.
Yeah,
So
it is definitely like a fear of mine is going into clinics and like I work so hard to school to like in school to get to that clinical school, like the clinical school of my dreams.
yeah,
And then like the doctors just like disappointed in me all the time. And I
exactly.
mean, how many times can I use the excuse like I was in the pandemic? Like
Yeah.
it's just gonna
It
get
just
old.
there's still so many doctors out there who already like look at you a certain way when you're like, oh, you went to SU or oh, you went to Ross. So then to say like I was in the pandemic, we didn't have, access, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, because you were at one of those island schools or something.
Right.
So
Oh, you're not gonna be prepared to be a doctor. It's like, well, I don't know,
right,
I did my best.
exactly. I don't know. Okay. Well, that's it. Those are like what I have for like the SGU versus Ross thing. So
I wish
thanks
I
so
had
much.
more positive things to
I
say.
know, but it's just hard. Like I feel like if we had made this video like back in April or May, we would have like it would have
Right.
been like totally different. But
Like,
now it's
yeah, having a good time.
exactly. But now it's just kind of like, okay, like this is the real deal. And like I know like so many people like follow us for SGU and Ross, and I don't like sugarcoating things like falsely. Like at some point you want to like really be transparent.
Yeah, like that's what people say, that they really appreciate that like I keep it real. But
Mhm.
like I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I mean, I'm never gonna like come out and be like, blah blah blah, like the
Yeah.
admin on my last nerve. Like
Yeah.
I mean, but like I'm gonna be honest if I'm not having a good time in my education, because I don't think anybody really is. I mean, state schools, yeah, they're getting like hands on more than me, definitely, but at the end of the day, nobody's getting the same amount that they always would have.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much anyways for sharing though. Cause it's just nice to like hear. It's like sometimes like,
Yeah.
I can always help like with the Ross interview part, but like at the end of the day, I still chose SGU. So that's about as far as my Ross knowledge goes. So it's always
Right.
nice having a friend that I can like ask to like show the comparison. So
And it's nice too to like know you're not alone. Like
yeah, it's not just SGU. It's not
comforting
just
that
Ross.
it's not just you like struggling by yourself in your room every day.
Exactly.
Everybody's kind of
Exactly.
there.
Cool. Okay, if you've made it this far into the video, I know this is a very long video, but I think these are just things that really need to be discussed. There's so many people that are unsure, and I feel like if you're just starting in January or you're starting in August, like you'll be fine. You'll definitely have that time to make up. I feel like it really hurts more so people who are currently in school right now, and we're missing out because now we're having to catch up and everything, or like the current students who are in their first year have to rebuild that knowledge. But yeah, just keep an open mind. It's hard to stay positive in a time like this. Some people say they're depressed, they're running out of money. It's just really a sticky situation. But yeah, to any of my Grenadian followers who follow me that might have watched all the way through this video, like I'm coming back next term. Without a doubt, I've said it this term, I'm buying my flight soon because I'm probably going to come back at the beginning of the term and just, get some things and just stay down there for about a month or so. But yeah, Definitely when I'm back on the island, I'll give more updates. Hopefully once school is over this semester, I'll do some fun like Christmas vlogs or something. I don't know if you have any ideas for like something to do across break. I know I've been asked to do a mukbang quite a bit, but like I've been trying to lose weight and I've been going to the gym a lot, and so I'm not trying to like go out to some fast food restaurant and just stuff my face. But like seriously, like if you want to see like Christmas videos or like something that I can do outside of school, let me know. But yeah, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. Please, please, please hit me up on Instagram because that's the best way to get in contact with me. If you don't have Instagram, I also have Facebook. Ask me questions. If you're thinking about applying to SGU and Ross, like I'm gonna be 100% real with you. Like I rep SGU like all day long and I will back that school, but there's some things that I don't think need to be sugar coated. And if you have any questions about Ross, please message Ashley. Like she knows everything about Ross. She can tell you all about St. Kitts if you are gonna go, if you're not gonna go, or if you're just a prospective student. But yeah, please stay safe. Please wear a mask. Let's try to get this pandemic under control in America so that people like me can go back to school. Because there's even people in the US that are suffering. There's nursing, medical students, dental students. They're not getting that hands-on experience like they're supposed to. And I guarantee you don't want to be the person at the hospital who has a doctor come in and they don't even know what to do. So, stay safe. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But for real, be safe, be cool, and until next time.